This video is going to be a second film study look focusing on Dante Fowler's play for the Cowboys in 2025. What was the reason for diminished production? Only 3 sacks, less than double-digit quarterback hits. We're going to focus the film on 3 games here. I actually have a 4th one that I chose not to edit just for time constraints, to be honest with you. I ended up editing or creating 12 separate plays here, and that takes a significant amount of time. I'll try to give you as serious a look as possible at Dante Fowler's game, at least from the film that we have against the Jets in Week 5, the Cardinals in Week 6, and then the Kansas City Chiefs, I think, from Week 9. So interestingly, the Cowboys didn't sign Jadeveon Clowney till Week 2. Clowney doesn't show up to play his first game until Week 4. The first 5 games of the season, statistically, was Fowler's best opportunities to make plays. He had about 30 to 32 snaps a game, somewhere in that range for those first 5 games, culminating with this one against the Jets. 1 sack, 5 quarterback hits, 1 PD, some really nice rushes, if you ask me. This is a read option play. A lot of discussion about his defense against the run or difficulty with doing so. So this is a planned reaction, if you ask me. It's a planned gap exchange to a pistol option concept. So this blue line, maybe not perhaps presented the best way, it just means the quarterback is stepping off the midline, and then he'll be facing in this direction. Quarterback is, of course, Justin Fields. So you can see that the quarterback is stepping off the midline. He's giving the midline to the running back, which is Breece Hall. And when I say a planned gap exchange, I'm talking about Fowler and 59, the inside linebacker. Fowler stepping down to go take the running back and force a keep read for the quarterback. And it's a planned gap exchange where Fowler goes down to take running back. 59 loops around. He actually goes a little bit tight. I'm not sure what 6 is doing here, to be honest with you. This is a planned give read. Forced give read, I should say. So they're going to make the this is a planned keep read, excuse me, to make the quarterback keep the football. And so I'm not sure why 6 is stepping down here. He's actually a really good tackler in the film that I've watched. In any case, Fowler, he's decisive, he's adaptable. Whatever his job is, he'll do it. I think that he's a better run defender than maybe people give him credit for. However, you'll see some stuff in this video that kind of give you a reason or understand why people will say that. I talked about it in the first video. I don't think he's as consistent a high-level run defender as he is as a pass rush guy. Former 3rd overall pick. I think that was generally because of his pass rush ability. In Seattle, he'll be part of that rotation, if you ask me. Forms a really good foursome or group of edge defenders, but we know Mike Macdonald and Aiden Durday, they like to present moving targets and rotate those guys around to keep the D-line fresh. Same sequence or series as the first possession of the game for the Jets. 3rd and goal down here inside the 10. It's a really nice play here. At times, some of the film, I have the full-length game film for all of this. So basically, I have to watch 2 or 3 or 4 plays in a row when maybe Fowler wasn't on the field, and then they bring him on for 3rd down. That's not necessarily the case here, but if you are a DPR, designated pass rusher, screens is a way to slow you down. And I think he's got really nice identification here, at least if you ask me. The right tackle, right guard are both releasing out to the 2nd level. It's an empty set. I'll give you the all-22 angle here in a moment. Like I said, first possession, 3rd and goal, and they're trying to get the ball out here off screen to our left. And like I said, you'll see the all-22 angle in a moment to Breece Hall, the running back lined up to the 2 receiver side. He stops his feet, gets his hands up in the air. There's a lot of film of Fowler that I see, and I'm like, oh, he just looks like a Seahawks player. When I say looks like a Seahawks player, I'm talking about Mike Macdonald, Aiden Durday, Seahawks player in 2025. Same play from the all-22 angle. Fowler, for whatever reason, I don't know why I put the number 6 there. That was his number for when he was in Washington. He was obviously number 13 last year in Dallas. So in any case, Breece Hall's down here at the bottom side of the screen. You can see him right here. Illustrate, I call it a slip screen. So basically the number 2 receiver is going to block the outside corner, and they're trying to slip the running back or the outside receiver, in this case it's Hall, slip him underneath the blocking scheme of the right guard and the right tackle. So right tackle, and right guard, as well as the receiver, are all blocking out, trying to slip him underneath of it. Call it a tunnel screen if you want, different names for it. The point is, it doesn't happen. The ball never gets there because Fowler stops his feet, gets his hands on it. More and more when I watch the film of him, I see a guy who plays like DeMarcus Lawrence. Maybe isn't a high production guy as far as total tackles, but definitely someone who makes big plays and understands the moment, understands the assignment, if you ask me. I like the signing a whole lot, and I said that in the first video that I put out last night, but I particularly like it for the price point, the incentive-laden deal, at least the way that it was described, and the fact that Fowler has played on a team last year in Dallas where he had to rotate, and in some cases didn't get the opportunities that maybe he would have wanted. Second possession here of the same game, Week 5 against the Jets, and he's brought on as a DPR, designated pass rusher. He was not on the field on the first or second down. I think he's expecting a chip by the tight end here, number 85, who releases out into a route. So it ends up being a one-on-one with the right tackle, who was a rookie, of course, Armin Membaugh. The Cowboys are bringing 5 here. I think he's got a hard-coded outside rush. This is very Seahawks-esque, if you ask me, whereby, either bringing 4 or 5, someone has, if you ask me, is a hard-coded outside rush, and it's Fowler. And I like his moves when I could be wrong, first of all, but second of all, I like his moves when he has what I consider to be a hard-coded outside rush, even if, technically they go down as losses. I don't necessarily look at each individual rush as a win or a loss. In my opinion, I kind of look at it like a pitcher who's facing a particular batter early in the game. What pitches does he use to set up maybe his outs, later on in the game? Well, it's a bad analogy perhaps, because most Major League Baseball pitchers only throw about 5.2 innings at this rate. But in any case, it's not a win, but he's got to threaten with enough topside or outside rushes to keep those tackles honest. And so I don't think it's a bad one. There are some times where I feel like, and I said it in the first video, that was exclusively 2024 film. Obviously, his production was better in 2024. I think sometimes his hand placement and his timing is a little bit off. You'll see an example of that a little bit later in this video. I think against the Cardinals, but I think he's a high-effort, high-energy guy. In my opinion, fits right in with the group of edge rushers, defensive linemen that you've got there in Seattle. They're not all going to be wins, and that's the picture that I'm trying to present here. I focused on 3 games, Jets, Cardinals, Kansas City. I think he's got rush versatility. I think sometimes you see these hard-coded rushes. To me, I suspect if maybe he's not going to be better in a system like Seattle's that's more dependent on stunts and blitzes as opposed to just line up here on the outside and create an organic win. Opportunity here to talk about the run defense in a little bit of a critical manner. And if you watch the first video, compare this to his reaction to 2 different option plays that the Ravens ran in Week 6 of 2024. One of them, he stepped down, stayed square, whatever you want to call it, surf, feather, and then ran back to the outside and tackled Lamar Jackson. The other one, he stayed square, surf, feather, whatever, however you want to describe it, and then closed down the space and tackled the running back. This one, to me, looks a little bit less committed. So there is the element of this tackle moving up and getting a little bit of a piece of Fowler on the way. It's a pistol option play, downhill on the midline by the running back. Once again, it's Breece Hall. Tackle does a really nice job, if you ask me. I just don't think Fowler's eyes stay on his assignment the whole time, number one. Number two, he's less than square. He's more canted in at the running back. And if that's the case, I think you need to go take the running back. I'm saying compare this to the film that I showed you last night where his feet ended up kind of replacing the tackle's outside foot. Let me make sure I explain that. So talking about the tackle's outside foot being here, replaced by, at some point in time, replaced by your feet in a flat manner such that you can step down, close down the space on the running back, or if the quarterback keeps it, jump back to the outside. And again, that's the same thing he did in the film that I presented last night against the Ravens from 2024. Doesn't happen here. Seems a little bit less committed, number one. Number two, I think his eyes get averted for a moment. You can ever so slightly see his helmet veer back to the outside, kind of move in a clockwise fashion. Talking about from now to then. Perhaps it was imperceptible, or maybe I'm imagining it. But in any case, I feel like he could play that a little bit better. And by the way, it was not ruled a fumble. The refs indicated that Breece Hall was down. This is kind of an innocuous play, same play, an innocuous option play from Week 5. But look, teams evaluate this when they're, they evaluate every snap. That's what I'm trying to do here, right? And I think he could just play this better. I'm still a fan of the signing, but I'm trying to give you guys as balanced an opinion or a look at the player, what you're actually getting for up to $5 million. Arc release by the tight end. So the tight end is releasing to the outside, presumably to go get the field side safety. And there doesn't seem to be coordination between the front side inside linebacker and Dante Fowler. It's a balanced formation, 2-by-2. So there's 2 tight ends and 1 receiver to each side. And Fowler just doesn't get square, B, doesn't close down the space. Like I said, it's Justin Fields back there at quarterback. It's pistol. So it's a 2-by-2 formation, 2 receivers to the downside, one of which is a receiver, one of which is a tight end, 2 eligible receivers to the top side, one of which is a receiver, one of which is a tight end. And so you don't know which side the option is going to go to. To me, if the safety was going to fit out here, then that means we should be forcing a keep read. We should be stepping down, very similar to the way that I described the first play I showed you in this video, where Fowler violently stepped down, and I called it a planned gap exchange between him and the inside linebacker. Hopefully I said that all in a way that makes sense. The types of things I think that make the difference, maybe sometimes, between being offered a 1-year deal for up to $5 million or a 2-year deal worth a little bit more. A really nice pass rush opportunity here, still focusing on that Week 5 game against the Jets. First, one of the few, true pass rush reps that we got in the first half. I think the Cowboys are up 10-3 at this point. So the running back is going to release to the outside, so he's no threat to chip or help the left tackle with Fowler. His outside hand is down, and there did seem to be this kind of tell where Fowler or even Clowney, when he was in the game for the Cowboys, not just this game but others as well, where the outside hand is down and they end up going on an inside move. So, I don't know if that's true necessarily. I do feel like his inside rush moves are rather abrupt and quick and really dangerous, if you ask me. The steps are the same whether he does them from the right or the left-hand side. We're talking about the little stutter, left foot in the ground, right foot in the ground, push off, or outside foot in the ground, push off, and then win to the inside. He's not one of those guys that I think necessarily plays better from one side or the other, but he does seem to play better with his right hand in the ground. Some of the chips that I'll show you throughout the course of this video did seem to have a big impact on him at times, basically meaning he wasn't able to play through that type of contact. But that's not a revolutionary idea, obviously, that chips can help slow down a pass rusher, particularly on the outside. Another 1st and 10, and an opportunity for him to go one-on-one with the left tackle. It's an upfield rush, and I like what he tries here. He tries a long arm frame and then a rip, and I think that he might just be a little bit late with the rip. So there's the frame with the long arm on the inside. And then the rip is just a little bit late, if you ask me, because now the tackle is already into him. So just appears to me to be a little bit less instinctive here than you would want. It's still a nice rush, even though, technically it probably goes down as a loss. Again, I don't really refer to those, pass rush win rate. Individually, sometimes you have a hard-coded outside rush. Meanwhile, I think the other side oftentimes has a hard-coded inside rush, meaning give your best move. It's James Houston IV jumping to the inside, and you've got a hard-coded outside rush over here. That's the way I perceive some of these 4-man rush schemes that are happening in the NFL right now. And again, it's very Seattle Seahawks-esque in that you might be trying to force the quarterback to escape to one direction or the other by design. I still have the same assessment of Fowler after going over the 2025 film. I put the first video out last night focusing on 2024 film that I had already accumulated. I still think he provides pass rush versatility, a plentiful amount of moves or options for Mike Macdonald and Aiden Durde to use when they design their pass rush schemes, be it a 4-man rush or a 5-man rush. Didn't see him dropping out in coverage a whole lot, but Mike Macdonald and those guys I think do a great job of teaching guys where to drop, when to drop, where and even why. There's some quality rushes that don't end up, being a pressure or a quarterback hit, and I've shown you a couple of them here. But in any case, this is now a run concept where a fake play action run concept, where they're relying on the left guard, John Simpson, who's now signed with the Ravens. His path is illustrated in orange, to get out to Simpson, a little bit of to get out to Fowler, Simpson to get out to Fowler. It's a little bit of a play action, slower developing concept, if you ask me. I think he recognizes something, and that's why he stemmed down so far. Ends up with a sack. It kind of reminds me of DeMarcus Lawrence in a lot of ways, where you've got a guy who recognizes something and then changes his alignment. Normally, when you get a 3 technique or a B-gap player to one side, that's where you got a 9 technique, outside shade. Is this a call? Is this something that the defense coordinator, the defensive staff told him to do? Oftentimes that depends on formation. In this case, it looks like they got 2 running backs in the backfield, and it's a slower developing play action. I think Fowler's a guy, and I said this last night in the first video, who could go 3 or 4 weeks without having much impact, and then all of a sudden give you 2 sacks and a forced fumble in one game. Granted, he's unblocked here, but we just finished the draft process, creating a website, draftsignal.pro. Hopefully you guys checked that out and enjoyed it. And, I'll tell you, some edge rushers, defensive tackles, sometimes they get sacks when they're unblocked. Still counts, if you ask me. He's got the burst and the closing speed to be able to tackle these guys. In particular, it's Justin Fields, who obviously is very strong and athletic and has been able to break the contain of many an NFL defensive player. I like the group that they've constructed between Lawrence and Wosu, Derek Hall, and Fowler. I'm talking about the edge defenders. Very versatile. They all got different strengths. Add into that some combination of O'Toole, Ivy, and I neglected to mention, I think it's Sheriff or Sharif in the last video. Move on a little bit here. We'll talk about some of his film the ensuing week 6 against the Cardinals. I believe Dallas lost this game like 28-17 or 27-17. In any case, you've got a one-on-one opportunity with the right tackle because the running back is going to deal with the inside linebacker who's mugged up. This is very Seahawks-esque, if you ask me, either creating a one-on-one for your edge defender or utilizing some type of stunt after forcing the offensive line and running back into a particular protection scheme. He tries a chop to rip here. I think either the chop is not strong enough, number one, or the right tackle takes his arm slightly up and around it. He doesn't seem to retract it. It just looks like to me the chop I'm talking about with the inside arm that's happening right now with Fowler's right arm, his inside arm. It looks like that is either just too weak and ineffective, or the right tackle was able to magically make his arm bend such that it doesn't land. In any case, that already kind of influences Fowler's momentum to go down because he either missed with the chop or it was too weak, and then the tackle just finishes him off. I do feel like in the film of the Cowboys from this year, there was less stunts-related pass rushes that Fowler was involved in, and more organic rush opportunities. Keep in mind, like I said, I was up front and told you the 3 games film that I focused on, the Jets, the Cardinals, and the Chiefs here. But that just is a observation that I'll make to you compared to the film that I saw in Washington. Where does Seattle land on that number line? Way over to the right. They run a whole lot more stunts and blitzes than Washington in 2024, and obviously a lot more than Dallas last season. I think he's in the right place. You see enough of these types of plays show up on film from 24 or 25 to support what I said earlier when I compare him to DeMarcus Lawrence, someone who just recognizes things in the middle of the play or even as the offense lines up. Again, against the Cardinals week 6, it's a 2nd and 3. Really nice play on an inside stem or move. I think there's evidence that the game prep is really solid. So the right tackle is going to step to him, illustrated by this yellow line here. And then you get double team blocks on the inside on the 2 defensive tackles, and Fowler's just going to defeat the scheme. So all he does is just jump to the inside. He's a very disruptive player when he's going inside, whether it's a pass rush play like I showed you earlier, the quarterback hit against Justin Fields, or a run play like you see here. It's late in the second quarter. It's another planned gap exchange, if you ask me. Watch 50's reaction. 50 is the inside linebacker to Fowler's side. Essentially, Fowler jumping to the inside, 50 looping around. In addition, you've got a nose tackle, defensive tackle stunt here as well. There's a lot going on from a Dallas perspective. I think they had a pretty good idea that on the 2nd and 3, it was going to be a run concept, and it's Dante Fowler who disrupts the whole damn thing. It reminds me of Lawrence or Clowney, in that they're veterans who are prepared for certain moments. And I think that's where we should credit Seattle's front office. They've done a great job of evaluating veterans in the last couple of years. Not necessarily talking about Rashid Shaheed. He hadn't been around as long as Cooper Kupp or DeMarcus Lawrence, Sam Darnold as well. But you're talking about a fourth player that they've brought in from a veteran standpoint, either free agency signing or maybe a trade, that is definitely a veteran that some people across the league might underestimate or misjudge. That's certainly a veteran move here. Again, against the Cardinals, it's a 13 personnel group. I don't know whether they classify 45 as a tight end or a fullback, but you can see you got two tight ends over here to the left, tight end / fullback, whatever you want to call them. So it's either 22 personnel or 13. And when 45 motioned or shifted over, Fowler looked to the sideline. And then, sure enough, the very next play, or that actual snap, is a play-action boot away from Fowler. This, to me, looks like Fowler looking to the sideline, asking, okay, what do you want me to do in light of the fact that I have a safety walked up over this guy? So he's going to go right to a quarterback on this play-action boot. Oftentimes, you'll see people kind of slow play this, sit down and either close down on the running back away, essentially you're talking option, or stay square and then veer off to quarterback late, but the quarterback still be able to get the throw off. That's not the case here. Fowler goes right to quarterback. Some would call it a cheapy sack. Of course it is. It's easier than battling a tackle one-on-one in a pass rush situation. In a true pass rush situation, still counts, number one. Number two, it's within the confines of the defense. Seattle does a little bit of this at times, depending on the quarterback that they're facing. I think I've got two more plays here from the Chiefs game. I would love to have included like 20 plays, but first of all, I don't have that kind of time to produce this on a random Wednesday afternoon. And number one, and number two, I'm not sure that people would sit around and watch that many plays. I hopefully have got my point across about Fowler already, but we'll give you two more plays to kind of hammer that home. This is against the Chiefs, which was, I think, a 31-30 or 31-28 win. He's matched up with Simmons, Josh Simmons, the rookie left tackle. He was the most talented tackle in that draft, if you ask me. But in any case, you get an idea of Fowler maybe being susceptible or altered by chips. And just the ball's actually already been snapped where I have this pause, so the ball's a little bit further forward than where I have it right now. It's almost on this yard line right here. Look where Josh Simmons' left foot is. It's almost 3 yards back. It's definitely 2.5, whatever kind of math you want to use. This actually did get called illegal procedure on Simmons, but you can see the chip really dislodges Fowler. I think he plays with a little bit less bull rush type of strength. To use an analogy of a pitcher with three pitches, an outside rush is pitch number one, an inside rush path, which is really good for him, would be pitch number two, and then the bull rush would be number three. I feel like of the three, his weakest is speed to power or bull rush, the option of taking on the center of the tackle's body. In any case, Josh Simmons got a really strong inside arm, right arm. And in this case, he's helped out to the outside by the running back. Simmons alone can stop pass rushers sometimes with his inside arm, his right arm. He's got chip help here, which makes it even easier to accomplish. In any case, you got two plays in a row here of Mahomes. This is not a Mahomes referendum. You didn't sign up for that, but just questioning or commenting on his decision-making. It was late second quarter. Dallas is up 17-14, like I said, and almost kind of being a little bit careless with the football. You're inside of a minute left in the half, and he's going to escape. It's a four-man rush scheme, so athletic quarterbacks are going to be able to do that sometimes. And Simmons didn't get called for the hold there. Simmons actually got called for the pre-snap penalty illegal procedure. But what I'm talking about is Mahomes, having no ball security or awareness of the fact that NFL players are constantly going to be stripping at the football, and you see evidence of it two plays in a row. I'll give you the other one here in a moment that actually is Dante Fowler's sack from this Week 9 win. I think this play will give you a really good idea of what I'm talking about, how strong the inside arm is of Josh Simmons. Super talented offensive tackle, if you ask me. It was, as a Ravens fan and someone who certainly doesn't root for the Chiefs, I was not happy to see that they got him in that draft. In any case, down 17-14 from a Chiefs perspective. You can't risk a turnover on a 3rd and 16. That's exactly what Mahomes does. But let's focus on Fowler. Again, being chipped, but he's really going to get stabbed by the right arm of Simmons. Kind of stops him in his tracks. Houston on the other side, one of my favorite players with the Lions a couple of years ago. He had that magical 2022. Has this really violent pick against the right guard. We're talking about Houston here. Has this violent pick to allow, I think it's Quinnen Williams to fold over the top late. But watch Simmons stab Fowler and really stand him up for a moment. This, to me, is what Fowler is his relative weakness. I'm not going to say he doesn't have any type of speed to power moves. That's not what I mean at all, because I actually showed you a long arm frame earlier in the video. But that strength of punch from Simmons with his right arm is really almost stopping him already. And then the running back chip kind of helped. Like I said, it's nothing revolutionary. Of course, chips help out against edge defenders. And here you've got a double chip, basically, to both sides by Kansas City. And that's what you want. Look, if you do this against Mike Macdonald, where the running back chips and then the tight end or receiver chips from the other side, that's what Macdonald and Durde want. They want you to utilize 2 of your eligible 5 receivers to chip and not get out into the routes soon enough. They feel like they can cover everyone else mathematically. In any case, another opportunity for us to talk about Mahomes' lack of ball security and then willingness to put the ball out there. Fowler, great pursuit, if you ask me, all the way on the other side, pursue all the way across the field against Mahomes. This went to replay assist. Obviously, at this point, you should not try to throw the football. If it weren't Mahomes, people would be a little bit more critical with their evaluation of stuff like this. Replay assist actually gave Fowler a sack because Mahomes' knee is down while he still has a hold of the football. In any case, I feel like Macdonald and Durde are uniquely prepared to integrate a pass rush guy like Fowler, who, in my opinion, has relative strengths of being a pass rusher as opposed to a run defender, number one. Number two, who has outside rush moves that are high quality, inside rush pass that are exceptional. I think those are his relative strength. And then really good on stunts and adapting during the play. A relative weakness of his, to me, would be speed to power or bull rush type moves to threaten the tackle to get him on his heels. I think Macdonald and Durde will integrate him in a way that plays to or utilizes his strengths. I talked about this in the video, the first video that I put out about Dante Fowler last night using 2024 film, how there's been a progression or a lineage each year almost whereby wherever Mike Macdonald shows up, edge defender productivity increases for certain guys. It didn't necessarily do that for Boye Mafe and Derek Hall over the 2024 and 2025 seasons, but the Seahawks was a group effort from a sack production and pressure standpoint in 2025. They wanted to be as unpredictable as possible, and sometimes that sacrifices or forces edge defenders, I should say, to have less organic one-on-one opportunities on the outside. I really like the signing of Dante Fowler. I think he fits in perfectly. That's my projection. I have one more game to watch of him that, maybe I'll try to put something out over the weekend. This was fun as a rush job for me today, Wednesday, to try to get this video out for you guys. If you enjoyed it, first of all, please let me know in the comment section, number one. Number two, if you think other Seahawks fans would enjoy it, please grab a link to this video and maybe share it out on social media. And then finally, if you really appreciate my work and want to, reward me, then please consider some type of donation or super chat. And then maybe I'll be able to get to a third Fowler video by the weekend. Appreciate you guys' time.